In this video, I'm going to show you two ways to migrate your PostgreSQL database from DigitalOcean to AWS. In my day job as a solutions architect, I have worked with many startups that have created their MVP on platforms like DigitalOcean. And now, once their product has proven successful, they need to think about factors like scalability, performance, and security, and therefore have decided to migrate to AWS. There are various factors that play into a database migration strategy, like the data size and acceptable downtime for customers. To make this as easy as possible, I'm going to walk you through the decision process and show some hands-on examples of tools and processes that you can use. So let's go. So here I am on the DigitalOcean database console, and you can see I have two databases here. Both have the same configuration, PostgreSQL 15, 10 GB databases. But the difference is the first database, if you go in the Insights tab, you can see the CPU usage and the disk usage is like 3%. So very small database. Let's check out the other database now. So if you go in the other database, just go in the Insights tab again. You see the disk usage is almost 40%. So this is like a large database, so few GBs. Just go back, and so in the first method using PG tools, I'm going to use the first database which has very small amount of data. So let's quickly try to connect to this database using the DigitalOcean CLI. So I'm going to the CLI, and let's use the pSQL client to connect. For the password, just go into the database. In the connection details, you can see the password field. You can copy the password from there and paste it. Yeah, perfect. So we have connected to the default DB. I'll do a \d to get the list of relations. And you can see we have a to-do relation. Let's fire a select command to see what data we have or how many rows we have. So we have 6 rows in the to-do relation, and that's all about the database it is. So it's a very small database. Let's get out of here. Now what we're going to do is to migrate this to AWS. I've already created a database on AWS RDS, which is the relational database service. So I'll quickly show you the configurations on AWS. So we have AwesomeDB, which is the database already created on AWS, and it's completely empty right now. This is the database endpoint which we are going to use. So quickly let's connect to the RDS endpoint just to verify that we don't have anything in the database right now. Again, I'm going to use the pSQL client to connect to the database. Perfect. So this is the database on AWS. Let's use the \d command again to see if we have any relations. As we can see, there are no relations on AWS as of now. So what we are going to do is we are going to take the backup of our database on DigitalOcean and push that backup manually on AWS RDS. So to take that backup, we are going to use the pg_dump command to take a backup file. So you can just pause the video here if you want to copy the command, but it will require a password. So just take the password again from the DigitalOcean database console, copy it, and paste it here. Perfect. So sometimes, depending on the data size, it will take few seconds or few minutes to complete this backup. If you just do a ls, you can see our backup file latest.dump is created in the directory, and it was not there before. So now we are going to use this latest.dump file, which is the backup of our database, and upload that to our AWS RDS database. Again, to do that, I have a CLI command, and you can just pause the screen, have a look at it. Again, if you have any doubts after that, feel free to just ask your questions in the comment section, and I'll be happy to answer those. So I'm going to use the pSQL command to upload the latest.dump file to our RDS database. It will again prompt you for the password for your RDS. Once this is done, you can see the logs that it has created, the table, it has added the rows and everything. Just ignore the errors because those are for the role which DigitalOcean has. So once you connect to the RDS database, you can see that the relation to do is now available in our RDS database, and let's just quickly fire a select command to see if we have all the records in our RDS. And now you can see we have all the 6 records migrated on our RDS database. So it's that easy using PG native tools. We just taken a backup and uploaded it to RDS. So that's about it. So we have just completed the migration using the dbdump method, which is useful for small databases. But what if you have a large database to migrate? For that, we can leverage the AWS Database Migration Service, which will enable you to migrate large databases to AWS. Let's see how it works. So for this, we are going to use the second database which we have on DigitalOcean and quickly show you the insights. So if we go in the disk usage, we can see it's like 40% used, which is like 40% of 10 GB. So it's like 4 to 5 GB. On RDS, we have another database called DMS Migration Demo, which we are going to use for the database migration service demo. You can see the endpoints, you can see the monitoring tabs, and all the details of the database. So quickly, let's connect to this database on RDS and see if verify if there are no relations already on this database. So again, I'm going to use the CLI, which is the PS SQL command, to connect to the database. Let's do a \d. So we did not find any relations. So basically, this is an empty database, and what we are going to do is we are going to quit from the RDS database now. And the first step we need to take is to create a backup of the schema of our DigitalOcean database. So I'm going to use the CLI command. Again, it's pg_dump command, but this time we are going to backup only the schema. So if you see the command, it's -- schema only. So that's where we are telling this command to only download the schema and not the data, because that's what we are going to do using the DMS. It will again prompt you for the password. You can either get the password from the CLI command, or you can just take it from the console. Once this is done, it may take few seconds or few minutes depending on how big your schema is to download, and just fire a ls command to verify if your schema was downloaded. So here you can see the schema.dump file, which has our schema. Now I'm going to use the pg_restore command to upload this schema to our RDS database, so that we will have a skeleton of our schema ready in our RDS. So just to verify if the pg_restore command worked, we are going to just log into our RDS database and see if we have the new database and the schema uploaded. So if you see the databases, we have the demo database because we had that on DigitalOcean. And if we move to that database and just fire \d, we can see the list of relations and the booking schema which is imported in our RDS database. So basically, our pg_restore command worked, and we have migrated the schema. Now quickly, let's go to the database migration service and create a replication instance. So to create a replication instance, just you'll require identifier, which is the name of your instance, which I'm going to give it as demo dbs migration. In the availability, just select dev or test workload, because we are going to not use the production mode. Select the VPC which you will be using. So I have my own VPC created for my databases, so I've used that, and just create on create. So once it is done, you will see the status as available. And now let's create some endpoints. I'm going to create a target endpoint, which would be my RDS instance. So you'll see all the details in the drop down. You can get all these details from Secrets Manager, but I'm just going to add them locally. Select require for SSL, because that's very important, and the database name was demo. Once you've done all that, just create the endpoint. So we have created the target endpoint. Now let's create the source endpoint, which would be our DigitalOcean database. So just give a name for this source endpoint. Here I'm going to just provide do source DB. So select the engine, which would be PostgreSQL. Again, I'm going to provide the information manually and not through Secrets Manager. So you will have to get the host name and put that into the server name. You can find the port name and all of these details from the connection details of your database on DigitalOcean. So my username is doadmin. My password, I'll just get it from the console again and paste it here. Perfect. Again, for the SSL mode, just select require and the database name is demo, and we'll just go ahead and create this endpoint. Okay, so now we have the target and the source endpoint. Let's try to test these connections, and what happens is basically this test is going to see if your target and source are accessible from the replication instance which we have created in the first step. So from both the endpoints, I'm going to just run this test, and you can see the status is now testing. So it will take few seconds to test this. Once this is completed, you can just see the status updated, either failed or successful. So I'm just going to refresh this. So now we can see the status is successful for the target and for the source as well. So that means my source and target endpoints are accessible from my replication instance. Now let's create a database migration task, which is the main thing. Again, we'll start by giving this a name, which is the task identifier. I'm going to just use DMS migration task. Choose the replication instance from the drop down, choose the source endpoint from the drop down, and choose the target endpoint from the drop down, which we have already created. For the target table preparation mode, just select do nothing because we have already imported the schema. For the LOB column settings, just select full LOB mode because we're going to do a full dump of the database. For table mappings, just add a new selection rule from the wizard, just keep all the default settings, and just turn on the pre-migration assessment and just select all the rules which are available for your category. So I've already created a S3 bucket where the reports will be generated, and I've already created a role for my DMS to have access to my S3 bucket. So you can either use an existing S3 bucket and create a role for your DMS to access that bucket, or just create a new bucket. Once all is done, just hit on create, and this will start creating the migration task. As you see, the status is creating. Once it is done, it will get changed to ready, and then go to actions and just click on restart or resume. What this will do is this will start the migration task, meaning that this will actually start migrating your database from DigitalOcean, which is the source, to the target, which is the RDS database. You'll see the status change to running. That means the migration is taking place right now. So once you see the status is load completed, you can check the table statistics, how many tables were loaded, all of those details. Now let's quickly go to RDS again and verify if we have the data in the tables, migrated successfully. So I'm going to go into the demo database and just I'm going to fire a select command on a random table. Let's select aircrafts underscore data, for example. So I'm going to select and see if the data is in these tables. Yep, and we can see all the data in the table. So we have successfully migrated our database using the database migration service from DigitalOcean to AWS, where we migrated around 5 GB of data to AWS. Now, with all of this out of the way, welcome to AWS. You've made a great choice. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please don't forget to hit the like button and feel free to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.